say, firstly, welcome to our talk today. We've got some amazing recruiters from the Black Recruiters Network here. I'm Arsima, a software development specialist recruiter, and also the founder of the Black Recruiters Network. We do have a stand over there, so feel free to come find us for a chat. But to get started with, it'd be great to introduce you to our lovely panelists. So, Charlene, do you want to go first?
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name's Charlene John. I'm head of recruitment, induction, and DE&I at Selfridges, which is a luxury retailer in London, Manchester, and Birmingham. And I have been there for about 2 years and have worked in recruitment for, my goodness, about 25 years. So I'm the dinosaur on the stage. Nice to meet you all.
Hi, my name's Alex. I'm the founder of Block Recruitment. I've been in recruitment for around 11 years now, of that in tech. I started my own company around 17 months ago. Our focus is supporting tech startups and scale-ups and helping them to retain and attract talent with diversity in mind.
Hi, everyone. I'm Danielle. I'm a co-founder of a product and design recruitment agency called Found by Few. I also host a podcast called How to Get My Job, where we demystify and speak with amazing, successful people and how they navigated their careers.
Hi, guys. My name's Adam Assad. I currently work at Activision, recently acquired by Microsoft, so officially I work for them. And essentially my job is to do strategic planning for recruitment. So everything from D&I, branding, things like that. I've been really lucky in my career. I've had the great fortune of working at Google, Uber, and the BBC. So I'm really excited to kind of give you guys the inside track on how to get into any of these type of organizations if you want to.
Perfect, thank you. So to get right into it, I think we had to start this conversation basically talking about the tech industry. From a recruitment perspective, it's definitely gone through it this year in terms of the hiring, the layoffs, and everything in that sort of realm. So I guess to sort of kickstart it to the gentlemen on the panel, from the respective fields of your recruitment areas, I guess how have you seen the recruitment and the tech industry sort of change this year?
In the tech world, in terms of recruitment or general roles within
general
tech? Yeah, so it's changed. There's been the tech apocalypse. I don't know if you guys have heard of that, where everyone's been made redundant recently. I think every big company has made about 10,000 plus redundancies. So it's crazy times at the moment. But with that has come great opportunity because there's new roles becoming available every single day. So that's super exciting. In my world, it's mainly in gaming at the moment, and we don't see a lot of black faces in gaming. And that's something we're really working hard to try and actually bring more people of color, especially black people, because there's a few Asians, especially black people, into the world.
Yeah, I guess from a general overview in the tech market, what I've seen, definitely, like you said, there's been a lot of layoffs, there's been a lot of hardships, but I think the way in which the pace the tech market is moving has been really encouraging. I mean, if we take the last couple of years, for example, cloud computing, Web3, AI, it's been huge amounts of investment, which has created a lot of new jobs, a lot of new skills that are going to be demand. So just thinking forward and ahead, if we still grow at this pace, there's going to be a lot more opportunity, I'm sure of that.
But you don't necessarily have to be a software engineer. So that's really what I want to tell everybody, is there's fringe kind of tech roles that you could excel in: project management, recruitment, all the HR pieces, but also design, UX, your world, UI. So yeah, there's ample opportunity apart from just being a software engineer to get into tech.
Very true. And even some of the conversations we've been having through our stand here, we've had a lot of questions about then how do you go about finding the right role in tech for you, because it is so vast and there are many opportunities. And Danielle, I know the work you do with Found by Few, you really go into like the schools and the colleges to kind of give people an insight into the other types of roles.
Yeah.
So I guess for anyone here that's looking or trying to figure out how to navigate like where in tech they fit, what would be the best advice you could give them?
Yeah, so I think first of all, like if you're unsure about which area to specialize in, the first thing I would say is don't worry, because it's perfectly normal and a lot of people feel this way. And also, like, this is quite a tricky question to answer because, like, everyone's career journey is very personal to them and is unique. But I would say two things. The first thing is follow your passion. I know that sounds really cheesy, but if you are, you know, passionate about creativity and visuals and design, well, then product design would be a good area for you to look into. If you're like a people person and you got great leadership skills and, you know, you want a more functional role, well, then product management could be something for you to explore. And if you're a bit like my dad, who's like a techie, loves coding and sitting at a computer all day, then IT, becoming a developer could be something for you to kind of explore. And, you know, I know a lot of people don't have a passion. So another option would be just getting your foot in the door. So I speak to really successful people all the time on our podcast. And you'd be surprised at just how many people got to where they are today by getting their foot in the door at a tech company and figuring it out once they got there. So yeah, to bring it back to the question, I would say those two things. Follow your passion, get your foot in the door, and yeah, and also having a specialism isn't the be-all and end-all.
Perfect. So what we're going to do, we're going to take you on the journey. So obviously, once you sort of figured out or have an idea of where maybe in tech you see yourself going into, I guess the next stage would be positioning yourself for those roles. And this is where the diversity of this panel comes in, because we have both our agency, like myself and Alex, and Danielle, double-checking agency recruiters, as well as Charlene and Adam as our in-house recruiters. So for Charlene, obviously you've been in-house recruitment for Selfridges for some time now. So I guess for anyone that's sort of looking at direct applications, what could you advise into how they can best position themselves for like an in-house recruitment team that's going to be assessing their profiles?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. And, you know, look, Selfridges, we're a retailer, so I'm definitely not sitting up here as like the best tech company to work for, but we've got a tech part of our business that I think is really interesting for candidates to consider, that actually you don't need to go for your big Googles, your Microsofts, etc. To obtain a role within tech. There are organisations like Selfridges that have a huge tech department. So I guess part of that for you is looking and researching at the roles that you want to work in, and actually where can you go and do that, and look outside of the most obvious places, because to Danielle's point, that's where you can get your foot in the door. I think another point from an in-house perspective is in-house recruiters, their bloodline is LinkedIn. So if you are applying for roles, make sure that you've got a LinkedIn profile. Even if you don't have lots of experience, set that profile up and really talk to your strengths, your skills, your experience, your knowledge, because recruiters are looking at LinkedIn daily. My recruitment team are constantly on LinkedIn looking for people. And then I think thirdly, think about what it is that you want from a company. Look at the company's values and make sure your LinkedIn profile, your application is aligned to that. I think lots of times we see candidates apply for positions and they know nothing about our organisation. So really research the company that you're looking to apply to and make sure that your application, your CV is aligned to that organisation. So for us, we're a luxury retailer. If you're interested in buying handbags and shoes, amazing. But talk to that on your application and make sure that that's visible on your LinkedIn profile. So just a couple of things to make you stand out. And I guess to give you some context, we had last year 235,000 applications. So you need to stand out. You can't just be a CV in a pile. So think about that when you're applying for roles. You are among the hundreds of thousands. So you need your application to pop in front of a recruiter.
235,000, my goodness gracious. I struggle with just like 100 applications for the roles I'm working with. Okay, perfect. I mean, LinkedIn has been like a hot topic throughout today. I've heard it quite a few in different talks, and even on our stand, like we'll be doing LinkedIn profile reviews just to give some initial insights into what you can do. So I guess a question to sort of everyone be like, what's one thing someone should have on their LinkedIn profile to like for definite to stand out?
A picture to start with. I think for me, well, I say for me, I know for my teams, what they're looking for is if you don't have experience, what are you doing to develop your experience? So if you are, I don't know, undergoing courses, if you are going on training sessions, make that visible. I think the one thing I asked my team when I came here was, what do you look for someone who's in an entry-level position? And they say that they're looking for people that are trying to further their experience, develop themselves. So for me and for my teams, I would say make sure that's visible on LinkedIn because they're the profiles my team in particular will be looking at.
Yeah, definitely. I'd say to try and stand out, I mean, you are in a market where it's going to be heavily candidate driven at the moment. So I'd say getting your personality out there. And what I mean by that is being intentional with what you're looking for. So advice I always give anyone looking for a job is you're not trying to appeal to everyone. You're not trying to appeal to the masses. There's a job in mind which is going to suit you, whether that's culturally or by skill set. So don't be afraid to make that obvious when you are actually putting yourself out there and making it a lot more personalized to you, because I feel that's how you actually attract the right set number of people to come for you.
So I'm a marketer first and foremost. So what I would say for LinkedIn is just market the hell out of it. So that's everything from your copy to what Charlene mentioned before, your photo, to your banners, just every aspect of your LinkedIn profile. Put some love and care into it because that is the first touch point for any employer who's looking to hire, and it is your chance to shine and give people a good first impression.
Thank you, everyone, for that. So today at Black Tech Fest, it's very much surrounded around early careers, whether you're looking to get into tech, do a career switch into tech, or land that first job into tech. And sometimes some questions we get asked is like, how do you navigate that career switch, that resume gap, and is it seen as a hindrance, essentially? So I guess for Danielle, what's the best way for someone to navigate maybe like a gap in their CV, or even if what they're looking to go into is completely different to the experience they've had before?
Yeah, so with a career gap, like career gaps are very normal. Many people have career gaps on a CV. I have a career gap on my CV, and the best thing you can do is own it. Own it and try and frame it in a positive way. So, for example, I took some time out to focus on my health. And when I recovered and got back to, applying to jobs, if someone said to me, hey, what did you do with that time? I would explain that, I took that time off to focus on my health, and now I'm in the best place ever, mentally and physically, and I can give 100% to my job. And that is going to benefit you as an employer. So to answer your question and bring it back to the question, just try and own it and put a positive spin on it, and don't let it hold you back from putting yourself forward for opportunities.
And my next question is a little bit off the cuff on this one, and specifically for our in-house recruiters, so Charlene, don't worry, it's nothing too crazy. Charlene and Adam, I guess because you see like the full hiring process internally and how that goes, where do you see the most areas where people sort of fall off in the hiring process, and how can they better prepare for those stages?
So for us, we have different processes as part of our recruitment process. And one of the stages is a video assessment. And I would say that, I'm going to be a stat queen now, 72% to be precise. We see 72% of candidates drop out for particular roles at the video assessment stage. So I think the way the recruitment world is evolving and has done over the years, be prepared for the fact that you're going to have to do some kind of video assessment, whether it's gaming, whether it's an actual video of you talking. Think about that and think about how you want to come across in that interview or that part of the assessment. What do you want to say? What research do you need to do to ensure you come across the best as you can? Because that is part of the process, particularly for us as a business. And as I say, we see a huge number of candidates drop out at that stage. We also see a number of candidates drop out at second stage. So we have our video assessment or our gaming assessment as step 1. Step 2 is an assessment face-to-face. And then the third step is coming in and doing some kind of a test or a presentation. And we see a number of people drop at that stage. So again, I think talk to your recruiter and understand what the process is for that organisation, because it will be very different in different businesses. So understand what you're going to have to go through in terms of applying for that role and be prepared for it. So there's nothing that surprises you, because I think a lot of it is when people see they've got to do a video or they've got to do an assessment and then they suddenly freak out and then they drop out of the process. So I would say just prepare and research what the recruitment process is for each company you're going to. Make sure you're happy with that. Just to follow up on that, and I think it'd be remiss of me not to highlight this, given my hat working in diversity, equity and inclusion. And look, I completely agree with what Adam's saying around, being likeable and kind of team fit. But what I do want to say to the audience is kind of be rest assured that there are processes that are non-biased. There are processes that are diverse and inclusive. You're not being assessed on whether or not someone likes you. You are being assessed on whether or not you're the right person for the job. And I think it's important just to call that out, because that can be quite daunting for people, especially when you don't have experience, coming in and thinking that you're going to be assessed on whether or not you're a fun person or whether you look the part or whether you fit an organisation. It's actually, and it should always only ever be about whether or not you're the right person for the role.
Very true. I think Adam agrees as well.
Yeah, there's definitely a process. Yeah, 100% agree.
Adam just got told off on the stage.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what just happened.
Perfect. Well, what we want to do, we want this to be as interactive as possible. So we also want to open the floor to any questions from the audience. If you have anything for our recruiters here. So does anybody have any questions that they'd like to ask? The lady here in the pink jacket. Does someone have a mic? Yes, coming to you.
Thank you. Sorry. My question is, when you look at the job descriptions, sometimes they require qualifications that you may not have, and some of the things you're able to, but not everything. So how do you approach that if you do get an interview?
So in terms of the job description, you don't have to have absolutely everything. So I think it was Mackenzie that did some research in terms of who applies for positions. And there's a big differential between how many men are applying for a role to how many women. So sometimes, and I don't want to be general here, sometimes men will look at a role, can do 2 or 3, and I'm guilty of this. I can do 2 or 3 things on the job description. I'll apply for the role. Whereas a lot of the times what tends to happen is if you feel like you can't do every single thing on the job description, you hold back. I would say that's the wrong way to think about it. Just put your application in and then chase as many of the recruiters you can find on LinkedIn to say, look at my profile. Yeah, at least then they'll be able to get back to you and you won't get that essentially black hole situation where you don't get any feedback. So that's my way, but it's probably different to everyone else's.
Yeah, I think to touch on that, or don't let it deter you if you don't have everything on there, because there will always be some skills which should be listed desirable and essential. But what companies, and in my experience, we look for, like Adam said, the most qualified person usually isn't the one that gets a job. We're looking for potential, and companies will look for people who they can work with and are coachable. So my advice is, as long as you're willing to do the role, put yourself forward, and in those interviews, what they're looking for is someone who's willing to take on that responsibility and someone who can grow with a company.
And I would just call out a company's values and their mission, because I think that's something that sometimes gets missed. So people often concentrate so much on the job description, and of course that's so important, but also a company's values, what their mission is as an organisation. And I think if you can show in an interview your alignment to those things, that actually holds so much weight. So if you don't have those things that need to be ticked on that job description, if you have the right values for that organisation and you believe in the mission statement of that organisation, and that comes through in an interview, along with the potential, actually that makes you a really strong candidate, because that's somebody that's going to come in, fit the culture, the value of that organisation and develop with it. And more often than not, that's what an organisation's looking for, rather than someone super skilled and experienced but with a really bad attitude.
I hope that helped. Is that all good? Perfect. Does anyone else have any questions they'd like to ask? There's a mic coming around.
Thank you. So let's say, for example, you're coming from a background outside of tech, like in terms of your education and your previous work experience, but maybe you might have done something in your own time, like maybe Udemy, and kind of learned some skills through that. On your CV, when you're making applications for like entry level or like graduate roles, where would you put your skills? Would you put it above your current like work experience, or like where would you kind of position that, and how much detail would you go into it?
Okay, I'll take this one. Yeah, so I think if you're just starting your career, we have a lot of people on our podcast who talk about their career journey, and I think I'm going to go back to the point I made earlier, where on getting your foot in the door. So what you want to do is really amp up those soft skills and really put a focus on your trainability as well. And you know, a lot of the people that we've interviewed got their foot in the door by doing roles that they didn't necessarily want to do. So if you can get yourself in a position where you can get your foot in the door and with a company, you can then be able to explore those tech roles that you really want to do. I hope that answers your question.
I think was there a hand up right there in the sort of this side of the middle?
Oh, I have a question, actually, if I can.
Basically, my question was, in the video interview, how do you actually go about marketing yourself? Because I feel like when you're trying to market yourself in person, you can tell by someone's body language, you can bounce off them in person, but I guess fully trying to market yourself in the video interview and show what you're about, what makes you stand out, your skills, how would you say is the best way to go about doing that?
I think it's a really good question. And look, I think the easiest probably answer to that is listen to the question that's being asked as part of the video assessment. So we often, and you know, it's been a long time since I've assessed videos, but my team will often tell me that people will come on screen, then they'll completely talk about something completely different to what the question is. So most assessments give you a time frame where you will see the question, it's written or it's spoken back to you, and you can have maybe 5 minutes to have a think about your answer. I would just make sure that you're answering what's being asked of you and don't deviate from that. If you know the role that you're going for, I don't know, is an engineer, think about what are the key skills that an engineer needs that you can then get across in that video assessment. And also just remember as well, like video assessments, they're 90 seconds, 3 minutes long max. So in that short window, you've just got to try and get across everything that you can that sells you. So think about the question that's being asked and make sure you stick to that. Because if you veer off, you're just going to get screened out, because the recruiters will look at it and just think, well, this person's not answered the question, they're not suitable, decline. So you just want to be straight to the point, nice and punchy. And also speak to the recruiter. If you're not sure, email the recruiter or reach out to the recruitment team and they should be able to support you.
All right, thank you.
Hi, I've just got a question. My name is Chioma. I'm a product designer. Thank you, first of all, for all the information you've shared so far. It's been really helpful for myself. And I'm hoping you'll be able to share some insight on the concept and just the activity of cover letters in today's market. So there's times when I'm applying for something, the application will include potentially a cover letter. Sometimes it won't. Sometimes it will allow you to choose whether you want to, provide one or not. And I just would love to get your insight into the worth or value of cover letters in today's market, how to best, navigate them. And also, if you have insights or kind of like experiences around whether or not a cover letter itself in relation to your CV can really be the thing to like push you over into the pile of the yes. And also, secondly, if you guys are able to answer, proactively building relationships with recruiters and best tips that you found in your experience as well. Thank you.
So I think I will speak to the first point about the cover letter. So like you actually said, the cover letter, the importance of it is very much dependent on the company and how much they value it. But I would say if you are a product designer and you are exploring a career in product design, the most important thing you can do is have a portfolio that is up to date. So I spoke with an amazing design leader recently, and I'm going to steal his line. So he says that as a designer, your portfolio is your currency. And what he means by that is having an up-to-date portfolio is the best way for you to get some of those top jobs. So my advice would be have an up-to-date portfolio and really try and put some care and love into your portfolio.
And in terms of, so basically there's two industries that still really desire cover letters, legal and professional services. So consultancies, industries like that, they desire a cover letter, and sometimes that can put you over the edge. But most tech roles, you don't necessarily need it. If it says it's an option, we mean it's an option.
I'm going to jump in real quick on the second part of your question about having a relationship with recruiter. I mean, as an agency recruiter, like that is our core every day what we do. We're going out, we're looking to connect with talent and build relationships. So as a bread and butter, like that's the majority part of our day, as well as like working with clients. But I'm a big believer in having a relationship with recruiters, and specifically like a specialist recruiter in the area you're looking to go into. That's definitely one thing we're trying to tackle with sort of the BRN network as a whole. Like we're a community of 250 plus recruiters. Predominantly, quite a lot of us are in the tech space, as you can imagine. But we all specialize in different things. So like myself, I specialize within like back-end software development, recruitment, niche of a niche. And then Danielle was in sort of like product, UX, UI. Alex does more like front-end software as well as like tech sales. So everyone will have their specific area of course what they recruit for. So really and truly like finding the right recruiter for you can be such a long-term relationship and really progress your career. And even just have it as a place to go to for any just like insight and advice. It's not always about using them to have it like for a job. Obviously like that's one aspect of it, but then also like how to navigate the hiring processes, how to navigate the salary conversations, how to just do like a CV review. Like there's so much you can gain from having a good relationship with a recruiter. So I would definitely say invest the time to like try to find one that works for you, because yeah, there's a lot of us out there and we do hound sometimes. But I think that is our time up for now. If you have any further questions, then feel free to come to our stand. I'll say big thank you to our panelists today. So a round of applause to them for taking the time out. And that has been the Black Recruiters Network. Thank you.